Hey, welcome to History ED. Today's video is a very special video, as it talks about a person whose face and name you might not know, but you know her body. This is the tragic story of Sarji Sarah Baartman. Sarji Sarah Baartman was one of the first black women known to be subjugated to human sexual trafficking. She was derisively named the Hottentot Venus by Europeans, as her body would be publicly examined and exposed inhumanly throughout the duration of her young life. Moreover, her experience reinforced the already existing and extremely negative sexual fascination with African women bodies by the people of Europe. Sarah Baartman was born in 1789 at the Gamtoos River, now known as the Eastern Cape in South Africa. Baartman and her family were members of the Ganakwesab group of the Khoikhoi. Baartman grew up on a colonial farm where she and her family most likely worked as servants. Her parents unfortunately died when Sarah was still a young girl. By her teenage years, Baartman married a Khoikhoi man who was a drummer. They had a child together who died shortly after birth. Her husband was later murdered by Dutch colonists. Soon after, she was sold into slavery to a trader named Peter William Cesar, who took her to Cape Town, where she became a domestic slave to his brother, Hendrik. On October 29, 1810, although she could not read, 21-year-old Baartman supposedly signed a contract with William Dunlop, a physician who was a friend of the Cesar brothers. This is the moment she unknowingly made the biggest mistake of her life. This contract required her to travel with the Cesar brothers and Dunlop to England and Ireland, where she would work as a domestic servant, since technically slavery had been abolished in Great Britain. Additionally, she would be exhibited for entertainment purposes. Baartman would receive a portion of earnings from her exhibitions and would be allowed to return to South Africa after 5 years. However, the contract was false on all details. Sarah just signed to be a slave, and her enslavement continued for the remainder of her life. Baartman was first exhibited in London in the Egyptian Hall at Piccadilly Circus on November 24, 1810. Her public treatment, however, quickly drew the attention of British abolitionists who charged Dunlop and the Cesars with holding Baartman against her will. The court ruled against Baartman after Peter Cesar produced the contract that had been signed by Baartman. In September 1814, after staying 4 years in Great Britain, Baartman was taken to France and sold to an exhibitor who showcased animals. He put Baartman on public display around Paris. He also allowed her to be sexually abused by patrons willing to pay for her defilement. He garnered considerable profit due to the public's fascination with Baartman's body. Sarah Sarji Baartman died in Paris on December 29, 1815, at the age of 26 for unknown reasons. Even after her death, many of her body parts would go on display in Paris to support racist theories about people of African ancestry. A lot of us won't even have heard of her, yet her story bears a troubling resemblance to the experiences of generations of black women down the line, till this day. In 1994, South African President Nelson Mandela formally requested that Baartman's remains be returned to South Africa. On March 6, 2002, her remains were returned and buried at Hankey in the Eastern Cape province. This is such a sad story, and no one deserves to go through what this poor woman went through. Hope you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.